Spaceman 2.0 Phoenix Truth Live show, but we're going to use AVFS for this morning live, talking a little bit more about one of his last shows, his second last show, and they took him off because of supposed anti-Semitic remarks. And what's coming up in the news today, anything dealing with Zionism is considered anti-Semitic now. So let's just hear what Gary Bell has to say about letting in foreigners to do the elite's work to dismantle society.
From your Mac, your PC, log on to 640toronto.com, picking up the live audio streaming there. I welcome you in. Wherever you are in the world, I welcome you in. The elite are picking up the pace in the Illuminati-controlled mass media. Things are beginning to speed up. Noticed? We're moving very, very fast toward the winter solstice. It's all according to the movement. Bye-bye.
And this is the breakfast show as well. I'm going to eat my full breakfast here. Avocado, some spicy sauce on eggs, over easy, basically sunny side up on some sourdough toast with coffee and a little bit of water. Maple syrup in the coffee for sweetener.
Heavenly bodies above.
And remember, egg yolks on PubMed article does not allow viruses to be uptake into your body. That's right, egg yolks. That's why all the chicken farms are burnt down in the last few years. Check it out. Go on the news, on Google Map, chicken farms burnt down. You'll see systematically chicken farms burnt down. But just a coincidence?
They're sun worshippers. Next month is the winter solstice. Just this week, the seeds were being planted for those major moves that are about to take place at or near to this winter solstice witching Sabbat. I'm talking about a perfect storm here. Things will absolutely be peaking. This week, there were 3 major seed planting events. This is to showcase the fall of an empire. That empire, of course, is the American empire, the economic engine of the world right now, supposedly, and the policeman of the world. Soon, though, to be replaced by the final empire this world will ever see. The last and final empire will be a global one. The government will be run by a kind of corporate fascist regime headed that I call the Antichrist figure. First this week, there was the New York City Halloween attack. The date, 31st October, a backward 13. The mark of the cult. Seyfulo Saipov, the perpetrator, the latest patsy to use, well, drug-induced weak persons to create the chaos, to create the change for the transformation the world is going through right now, that you and I are being subjected to. It's closing in, and it's closing in fast, and it's getting tighter. This man was allowed into the U.S. through what's called a diversity visa lottery. The U.S. government owns a website online where you can register from anywhere in the world to come in to the United States of America. I believe this website is actually a tool that's being set up to legally allow in people who the authorities want in, who would never otherwise get in. Remember, the Illuminati rule by the rule of law. So it's been legally set up. And everyone knows how tough it is, if you've ever been, and you probably have, to cross an American border. They're all register for this diversity visa lottery program, win the lottery, are used as patsies. I don't mean that at all. It's not just letting only the ones they want to use in. It's just the way the Illuminati can infiltrate the enemy. That's us, the people, and place these time bomb ticking personalities amongst us. Because you see, if you check history, you will find, undoubtedly, without fail, revolution or change or transformation has always been injected into a country from the outside. But this latest perpetrator, Seyful.
An example of that is the 2017 Russian Revolution, and 1,500 henchmen of Trotsky went through from New York through Nova Scotia. We almost caught them, but Alexander Graham Bell got a call by Alexander Mackenzie. Alexander Graham Bell was creator of the telephone, supposedly, right? And then Alexander Mackenzie got a call, called up the customs officers, told them to let him go because he got a call by Brofman, who was a Rothschild handler, or a Rothschild agent, family cartel. So basically, we let through the Russian Revolution to happen, or we, Canada, let him through. The Russian Revolution happened from outside force going into Russia, starting it with 1,500 men, and then 60 million Christians dying, blood in the streets. Then after that, Holodomor, 30 million, starving to death. Then we're leading into the Second World War, where 6 million Jews and 10 million more Germans killed after that war, starved to death along the Rhine River.
Saipov was one they wanted in. Think of it. He's been in the hands of the so-called authorities for 7 whole years. He was brought over in 2010 from Pakistan. If you're one of the lucky ones, as I've said, to win the diversity visa lottery and move into the U.S. to live, you're not just simply forgotten about when you get there by the authorities, you know? No, they check up on you. Don't ever kid yourself. The ones who bring you in this case, it's the U.S. government, these authorities keep tabs on you. They know where everybody is, of everybody they let in, and where they're currently living. Yeah, the diversity visa lottery. Can you say fool? Got it? As in, say fool, Saipov. They probably even nicknamed something like Psycho Saipov when they had him in their programming meetings. He had many visits with his handler, psychiatrist. There is no doubt about it. The last one being this past Tuesday, Halloween Day. The day the Illuminati, if you were listening to last week's show, I pointed out very, very, very succinctly the death-worshipping holiday of Halloween. Because it's a death culture that we live in. We worship death. It is a great manipulator. So the last meeting that he had was this past Tuesday when the psychotropic drugs were administered into his system, setting him out on his clumsy attack. First, running people down on a bike path with a rented truck near the World Trade Center. Where else? Invoking 9/11 all over again, of course. Second, crashing into a school bus. He'd been programmed to kill kids, as many children as he could. But all he ended up doing with his
Hey, Victor, thanks for tuning in.
Was digging the side of a school bus. After that, the third and final stage. out onto the street waving a gun around. It's Spaceman's Talk Radio, AM 640. Coming back with more right after this, because I'm just getting started. I'm the Spaceman. It's Talk Radio, AM 640. Emails to space.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I know you can listen later all about how we're taking over with the Illuminati's New World Order system.
JM writes, you deserve bragging rights for calling Houston as the winner of the World Series and for predicting a blood sacrifice around Halloween, which is its actual real occult name. And he closes the email by saying, don't be shy. Well, I just want to say that I'm not an IT, what I call an IPYS guy. You know what an IPYS guy is? I told you so.
Like Crypto Bully Bear's handle
on
WebOff wallet.
Because I don't predict, I actually forecast. You know, like they just used to do with the weather before chemtrailing. Just know exactly what systems were forming to create what kind of weather. And that'll pop up all of a sudden with a chemtrail.
Illegal immigration.
But I forecast because I see
Marxist.
All of the things that surround it and that lead up to it. And it's just a logical conclusion, in fact. So it's not really a prediction. But I don't like, as I said, being an IPYS guy. I just want to say what's on my mind, have you hear it, and you make up your mind. And if you find out I was correct, fine. Even better for you. So, Psypov, a fool, gets into the country on a diversity visa lottery. Yeah. 3-step plan. It's been programmed for like 7 years, coming in 2010. First one of his attack that he was programmed to do, take a truck down a bike path and run over some people, killing as many young people as you can. That's why he hit the school bus. But all he ended up doing was putting a dent in the school bus. And after that, the final, third stage, out on the street he went, waving a gun around. I mean, Psypov was so drugged up on a type of psychotropic drug used on people like him these days. He even thought he had a real gun. That's what he thought. He was waving it around like, here, look at the power. He thought he was totally invincible, but he only had a paintball gun, and he didn't even know it. He didn't even know it. By the way, another effect of these types of powerful psychotropic drugs used on these people is to give the user a feeling of having absolutely no remorse, complete apathy, no feelings for others at all, almost as...
I just had to stop it there and show you or tell you that's exactly what Tylenol is supposed to do to deliver. It helps take away people's empathy. So then they're apathetic or they just don't care about others. Okay, so hence why they're pushing Tylenol for kids and all this stuff.
They're detached from what they're programmed to do. And it's another being doing it, not them. It's not a huge part of the drug that's used. It was a paintball gun. He thought it was a real one. Waving it around in the streets with all that power, feeling invincible. No, this Uzbeki national was handpicked to do this job. to do just what he was programmed, drugged up, and set loose to do on the day they wanted him to do it. But this Illuminati event has what they call legs. You know, in the media business, a story that has legs means it's going to come back again. There'll be more to it. Well, come Monday, you don't have to wait long. The real effect on the world of that attack by psychop will be shown big time in the
Oops.
The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the feeling of having absolutely no remorse. Complete apathy. No feelings for others at all. Almost as if they're detached from what they're programmed to do. And it's another being doing it, not them. It's not a huge part of the drug that's used. It was a paintball gun. He thought it was a real one. Waving it around in the streets with all that power, feeling invincible. No, this Uzbeki national was handpicked to do this job. To do just what he was programmed, drugged up, and set loose to do on the day they wanted him to do it. But this Illuminati event has what they call legs. You know, in the media business, a story that has legs means it's going to come back again. There'll be more to it. Well, come Monday, you don't have to wait long. The real effect on the world of that attack by psychop will be shown big time in the
Interesting. It keeps cutting off at this point.
The opinions expressed on this show are threat exchanges over.
Oh. Let's try again.
The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily carry this message. War at home? Well, it technically is. Only this war so far is only a psychological war that's being waged right now for the mind. Oh, there's a few casualties, but not massive like a real war. That's later. Then will come the echo again of the event of this New York City Halloween attack, when the debate starts up about the diversity visa lottery program and all the other U.S. immigration policies in effect right now. Oh, it's all coming. Part of the perfect storm. The second seed planted this week.
Hear that? Part of the perfect storm. And they knew they're getting into this war even more. I'd like to show you a couple things about how there's 13 months in the year. 1775 Bible, 13 months. Nisan, Ijar, Siran, Thammuz, Ab, Elul, Tifri, Marchafran, Chiflu, Tebra, Shabbat, Alder, Vader. I'm sure this is Mesopotamian as well. But look, between March and April, that's basically the March solstice or the equinox, spring equinox, starts Nisan. Nisan, what's the name of the car? Nissan. So they name these cars and things after these symbols. And we have days of the week. The first day was Sunday. Okay, Saturday was the last day, the Sabbath. Take a break from teaching if you have to, but you really can't take a break from milking the cow and getting the sheep out of the ditch. But if you are a teacher, minister, or that which is one who has to study and teach every day, it is good to take one day break. That's what that rule was about. There is different names for work. Hours of the day, okay, reckoned from sunrise. And then the night was from sunset. It was divided into 12 equal parts, but there was the first, second, third, and fourth watch. The first watch was pretty much between sunset to 3 a.m. The second watch was between 3 to 6. The third watch is between 6 to 9. And the fourth watch between 9 to 5. No, that doesn't make sense. Or 4 to 7 over here. 1 to 4, 10 to 1, 7 to 10. You can figure this stuff out yourself. But basically 13 months in the year, 13 moon cycles. And why is this important? Because the world's money markets run on different calendars. So just to go over, the Bitcoin market is worth about 2 billion or 205 billion or 1 trillion now. All cryptocurrency, 340 billion. Now this was done, I believe, about 5 years ago when I did this. Other funds, 647 billion. Private debt, 812 billion. Aviation, 1.6 trillion. Apple, 1.9 trillion. USD in circulation, 1.9 trillion. Private equity, 3.9 trillion. Real estate funds, 6.9 trillion. Gold, 11 trillion. Physical currency, 35 trillion. Stock market, 90 trillion. All money, 96 trillion. Global real estate, 281 trillion. Derivatives market, 558 trillion. Total, 1.1 quadrillion. Probably add 1.2, or if we add another trillion, so 1.3 quadrillion is tied up in the money market. Now, all this is going to be going basically on the blockchain, right? And when that happens, and I know which blockchains will be used. Not financial advice, by the way.
Show the crumbling of an empire and its final stages, an empire in its final stages in the Illuminati-controlled mass media. Was Donald Trump embarking on his marathon? Get it? The same time as the NYC marathon is scheduled. His marathon 12-day trip to Asia, during which he'll visit Japan, South Korea, China, Vietnam, Philippines. Yes, the chaos candidate who became the disruptor president is about to begin his Asian tour, for which he's been warming up for quite a while now. Well, with North Korea's nuclear threat exchanges over and over, many of them, and earlier, Trump pulled the United States out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a proposed free trade agreement with Japan and 10 other countries there. And remember, he's called China a currency manipulator. They're the ones that influence North Korea the most. China. China is going to replace America as the economic engine for a short time. And soon. Will Trump treat China in the same way he treats Mexico and Canada and their renegotiation of their NAFTA treaty? What it did was, if you haven't heard, upset both countries with his hardline approach of America first. I think he will. This Trump disruptor trip into Asia even includes visits to the two single most largest debt holders of American dollars. Yeah, the single most two holders of American debt are China and Japan. And all this coming at a time, remember the perfect storm? When Donald Trump at home in the U.S. faces the debt ceiling that's looming in December as we approach the winter solstice, and his tax reform just getting underway. So this is why this week these seeds have been planted. It's to set up the pathway of chaos to culminate in or around the winter solstice that's coming. By then, we'll have a pretty good idea of what the Illuminati are setting us up for in 2018. Remember, Donald J. Trump, the disruptor president, must do his job, and that is to disrupt global business deals that have to do with America.
George Soros.
The current reigning empire. This Asia-Pacific trip is key as to what will be the message our overlords of this earth that are running this show are to send us all. The third Illuminati event this week. More evidence yet again showing the crumbling, decaying empire that is America. Remember the illuminated ones. The Illuminati never do anything new. They just simply repeat history. Sexual depravity was a major factor as a telltale sign of another failing, crumbling empire in history, if you can recall. It was Rome. In the aftermath of the initial revelations of sexual depravity, many others have now or are being outed also. I mean, it's escalating. It is snowballing. The very latest, Michael Fallon, Britain's defense minister, resigning over sexual harassment allegations. And there was the U.S. Republican Congressman Tim Murphy announcing his resignation over sexual harassment claims. Kevin Spacey's another, bringing one of the FAANGs in as one of the manipulators. You know who FAANG is? FAANG is Facebook, Apple, Netflix,
and Google.
And Google.
FAANG, the Venom. Venom's all over UFC.
Also include Amazon. So it's sort of FAANG. And, of course, it's Kevin Spacey's content that's been jerked from the airwaves and on Netflix. So in keeping with that, we enter the latest and the most serious steps to be taken in this drama. That's coming up right here. Talk Radio AM 640. I'm the Spaceman. Back with more right after this. I'm the Spaceman. This is Talk Radio AM 640. Emails, please send them to space640toronto.com. It's one address. The other, spaceman at 640toronto.com. I'm not on Facebook. No. Don't have a website. Don't have a Twitter account. I don't even have a cell phone. It's not a screenie. I want to look at them, do my job, and then I want to wait from them. It takes up too much of my time. It's not the real world. It's the virtual world. I don't want to live in a virtual world. I want to live in a real one. So FAANG. I just mentioned Facebook. One of the FAANGs. It's Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google. They're really all the big disruptors right now in the world. And what the definition, the actual meaning of FAANG is?
Now check that out. This is As Above, So Below, the Papal Audience Hall in Vatican City. Look at those eyes. Look at that. Do you see the fangs hanging down? There's a black line kind of covering the tips of them. Inside looks like an evil snake. What are all these things coming out? This is just absolutely horrific. But you cannot discount the snake appearance of the Vatican Hall. Considering he's talking about FAANG.
It's the tooth of a venomous snake by which poison is injected into the victim. Ooh, sounds like FAANG. I'm not talking about the tooth of a venomous snake. I'm talking about Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google. So as I was saying before the break, a new empire is about to rise. But that means the current ruling empire must crumble first, which is the American Empire. And just as in ancient Roman times, when sexual depravity was a major factor as a telltale sign that brought down the Roman Empire, all those Roman senators besmirched, brought down, shown to be pigs, pretty much. And that's what we see in America today. Actually, the world, because this sexual depravity has reached into the British defense minister's office. We're talking about into the politics of Britain, which, of course, is seething with much, much worse sexual deprived people who don't just want to touch women's legs. No, it goes way deeper than that. I hope you heard my Jimmy Savile show, where I showed you the inner workings of that mess. So, ancient Rome fell, sexual depravity being one of the telltale signs. And in the aftermath of this recent one in America, the initial revelations of sexual depravity.
The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect those of Talk Radio AM 640. The opinions...
right now that occult mystery religion started prophesying of a golden age to come that would restore the earth to a state of paradise. Meaning, going back to the demonically instigated desire for that ungodly civilization that existed before the Great Flood. All of this secret knowledge brought about by mystery religions, but kept closely guarded by secret societies of occult initiates like the Kabbalists, the Gnostics, the Knights of the Templar, later Freemasons, also Rosicrucians, and many more. All of them connected in one way or another. All of this secret knowledge they gathered was eventually put and contrived into a definitive plan of action in a 16th century book, of all things, written by none other than Sir Francis Bacon. It was called The New Atlantis. It was the blueprint. It's the blueprint they're using today. What we're seeing now and living through in our time here on this planet is the step-by-step plan of Sir Francis Bacon, a courtier of Queen Elizabeth I, and his accomplices being executed for the restoration of their state of heaven right here on Earth. The plan is being executed with precision, with guile, and with accuracy, and with complete and total control of the people that are bringing it about. Bacon, Sir Francis Bacon, was able to put the theories behind the new Atlantis into action with a colonization of the new world. America. Space back with more in a minute. Talk Radio AM 640. I'm the Spaceman. It's Talk Radio AM 640. Please direct your emails to space@640toronto.com or spaceman@640toronto.com. Guess what happened? Besides the Psycho Saipov attack in New York City on Halloween Day. In Chicago, October 31st, this past Tuesday, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, which is the world's leading and most diverse derivatives marketplace, Tuesday, Halloween, October 31st, the backward 13th, announced it will be launching Bitcoin futures this quarter, the fourth and final quarter of 2017.
Crypto out there.
That's right. Bitcoin isn't the only cryptocurrency in the world today, you know. Not by far. But what the purpose of these many cryptocurrencies have been launched for is to undermine the currency of all nation states.
Wow.
The empire right now that is the economic engine of the world. One Bitcoin equals $7,358 US. Yeah, that's right. One Bitcoin. Almost $7,500 in American money. So you see, nation states that have their own currency are obsolete or about to be. The cryptocurrencies are going to close in. Of course, that's the electronic funds transfer system, a cryptocurrency that is coming when the New World Order comes. Don't worry, though. Bitcoin is not going to succeed and take over the world as the electronic funds transfer system of the New World Order. No. Bitcoin and the other cryptocurrencies that are being used right now in the world today are just to undermine, to torpedo, help bring down all of the nation states' currencies, who, by the way, all the nation states are in debt.
So do you understand why they took Spaceman out in 2017? Because, or in early 2018, because he knew too much and how that he was going to play out the crypto.
I'm telling you, all nation states in the world soon will not be able to stand. Borders are going to be proven, you see, to be too big of an impediment for free flow of trade between nation states. That's why Trump's been put in place in America, the current economic engine of the world. Crash the U.S. dollar. You crash all the other nation state currencies. But mark my words, all the world's currencies are to be gotten rid of very soon. Borders are going to be proven to be too much of a burden, and they're going to be a pain, something that needs to be removed.
Okay, I'm going to have to go soon before my phone is about to die, but we all have to remember that in the Committee of 300, right here, you have to know this name. Up there, Zbigniew Brzezinski. Okay, he talked about the technotronic era. Okay, was not writing as a private citizen here toward a technotronic era, dictatorship leaving even less room for political procedures. Hence AI, as we know it then. That as we know them, finally looking ahead to the end of the century, the possibility of biochemical mind control, okay, and genetic tinkering with man, including beings which will function like men and reason like them as well, could give rise to some difficult questions. All right. So Zbigniew Brzezinski is talking about how our
See, Bitcoin and all the other cryptocurrencies are global. They have no borders.
okay. Brzezinski went on to say that our society is now in an information revolution based on amusement focus, spectator spectacles, saturation coverage by television or sporting events, which provide an opiate for an increasingly purposeless mass. Okay? So they've been controlling us, programming us since the beginning of time, and Spaceman knew all about it. We'll get into part 2 of the Bitcoin fiasco
There's money
debacle.
exchangers that make money from exchanging one currency to another currency.
And how Bitcoin and crypto has been used to bring in this new world order and fool us all. But at the same time, hopefully we can free ourselves to some degree. But we do know they are in control and control it. So it is type of despotic, dystopian society we're kind of going towards, even though we might, one or two of us, be rich, or even a million new millionaires isn't much for the only 60 or 200 or even 2,000 millionaires on the planet or billionaires on the planet, you know, compared to the elites and their money. We won't really even make a ripple in their plans, but maybe we can provide for our family and our posterity and into the future, and how to invest. And as Christ consciousness comes back in to our world, as we awaken into the truth, we can then maybe get off of these timelines as well and live in an eternal aspect of utopia on the planet where we know everything is there for us. We always have enough food to eat. If we didn't have people like Gates taking over farming, we'd have enough food for everyone, and the entire planet would be fed, and no one would go starving, and no one would want to leave their own country because it would be so good in their own country, and they'd be around their own people and have their own culture, and they wouldn't be saturating another culture just for the destabilization of it and the control for a Marxist communist society. So with that being said, Spaceman 2.0, thanks for tuning in to the Breakfast Show, and why Spaceman is right on the ball with the information he gave out.
It's a little game they keep playing.
So may we understand the game and wake up and live. Spaceman 2.0, and I'm out. Thanks to all of my subscribers and everyone who watched and everyone who is paying attention in the crypto universe, that we may come out on top and work together and overcome this diabolical plan, because awareness of it and exposure of it is the death knell to the New World Order. Spaceman 2.0, and I'm out.